Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Game Master Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I'm going to be talking about ReConquest RPG, the Expert Rules, which I just received yesterday in the mail. Finally became available. This is the rules for domain play in Thule, or Thule, however you choose to describe it. So here is the expert rules, as you can see on the image there, and then here is the basic rules. And basically, the way that these two books are going to interact with one another is that you will start playing through the basic rules first, developing your characters. At least this is your choice to do so, and I would recommend it. You start playing your characters through ReConquest first, and then depending on their character class, whether it be warrior, or bard, or sorcerer, or a ranger, a thief, and then halflings, dwarves, and elves, oftentimes they can follow the domain play pathway for either warriors or whatnot. So they do have some components of class as race, and then they will align with one of the other human character classes for the purposes of domain play. So you would typically start off at first level, and you would move through doing individual adventuring, right? So individual player characters are adventuring, following their own set goals and whatnot. And as they begin to hit certain levels, they will then be able to begin with some followers. And the followers are based on the initial installation of followers starts at their designated level. The earliest is Bard at level 8. The rest are around level 12. And I'll get to leveling and everything, very quickly here. So once they start like a bard at level 8, then the bard will receive a number of followers equal to half of his or her charisma level, divided by 2, rounded up, right? So let's say they have a 15. They would end up with 8 followers at that point. That should start to plant the seed in the player's mind for their character, that their character is going to start to become or look to develop domain play, look to become something more than just an individual adventuring bard. Warriors get there at level 12, and again, I know that sounds like it's a significant amount of time to wait, but the experience point system in ReConquest is different than what you might be used to. It's not quite milestone. It's kind of a split between milestone and your typical leveling based on combat XP and treasure XP and whatnot. It's a system that's more so based on, and I'll go into further detail in a separate video, is more so based on your actions as a player character. So is your player character, it's how many rounds of combat is the player character actually active in that combat. So instead of having XP based on what you kill, you have XP based on what you're doing during combat. If you're actively participating in combat, you're going to get 50 experience points for every round that you are active. An active is either a melee attack, a missile attack, or if you are using a spell in order to impact what is going on in the combat. You can't just randomly cast some spell just to be all right, there goes my 50 experience points because I cast a spell that had no impact on what was going on. So everyone's characters have to be actively participating in some way in the combat rounds in order to get those 50 points per round. So experience points can be gained actually very quickly in this if you have a lot of combat, you have a lot of opportunities for the player characters to utilize their skills. Now, utilizing skills doesn't mean that you're attacking, you're already getting experience for being in the combat round. So being successful in hitting something with a melee weapon is not going to give you an additional 50 experience points. However, if you're backstabbing somebody and you had to make a backstab roll, that is utilizing a skill that goes beyond just a simple attack, just to kind of clarify that. So I can see that you could actually spend not a great deal of time, probably just a matter of weeks of gameplay, maybe a couple months of gameplay, where your characters are going to, or the player party is going to start to hit those levels where they start gaining followers. And then I would slow things down for a bit and get them ready for the expert rules, because they're about to begin at that point. So now we get to the expert rules of ReConquest, and I'm going to shift view here. Now, I just got the book yesterday, and this is how it came from Amazon. So I'm hoping that when I put it on the shelf and sandwich it in, that little bow will clear out of it a little bit. It's I mean, the other one came from Amazon too, and it was okay. I mean, they seem to both have that kind of problem. So Amazon, not great, but I'm going to be opening up these books a lot anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. So I'm just going to go through the table of contents here, not in its entirety, because it is, even though it's a one-page table of contents, I'm just going to hit on several of the things here that I think are kind of important, or I'm going to focus on a little bit later. So we have the expert character abilities. So these are new abilities that are introduced in the expert rules. Some player character classes are going to have them right away. And then others will have to wait until level 8 in order to gain some of those as well. Then we go to expert character roles. And those roles are additional roles that can be added to it as well. I'm sorry, the expert character abilities are adjustments to the ability scores, because these characters might be of greater age than normal. My mistake. Then moving on through, so some of the character abilities, the new abilities, they are an Aeroflex Mystica, which if your character is a dwarf at any level, so this begins at level 1, you can start to make magical alloy known as auricalum. I can never say that word. I apologize for that. Using 1 gold, 1 copper, and 4 units of bauxite. He can, in 1 hour, make 1 AP in a forge or a laboratory. The sorcerer gains this ability once he reaches level 12. All right, so a dwarf at any level, a sorcerer at level 12. Likeness of the Gods. A ranger and a bard with a charisma of 18 or 19 can cast each known spell 1 additional time per day. A female bard with a charisma of 20 or higher, max charisma for males is 18, may instead cast each known spell 2 additional times per day. Divine Rivalry. Because a bard only has a favorite deity whom he impersonates, and because the deities are both intriguing and envious of one another, the bard can no longer learn or cast the spells known by the primary rival of his favorite deity. So they have to choose a rivalry. Healthy soul in a healthy body. So sorcerers, in addition to their daily spell from intelligence, see the basic rules, page 10, the sorcerer can cast each known spell 1 additional time per day if his strength, con, will, or charisma score is an 18 or higher. This reflects the sorcerer's ability to endure the physical and mental strain of spell casting, or in the case of charisma, his increased influence over the spirits. For example, a sorcerer with a con and a will of 18 can now cast each known spell 2 additional times per day. Cloak and Dagger. Using intelligence or sometimes charisma, whichever is the most relevant, the thief can spread dissent or gather information in enemy settlements, spy on others, disguise himself, and infiltrate factions and guilds. Thieves only have the special training in this, but other characters can try the same with a +8 adjustment to the die. Hold on one sec. Okay, sorry about that. Slight delay. Warlord's Rally. A level 8 dwarf, elf, halfling, or warrior instills trust and inspires all who fight alongside him, granting them a -1 adjustment to the die when they test morale, provided he does not flee and leads from the front. At level 12, which does not apply to halfling, the adjustment increases to -2, and at level 15, which applies only to the male warrior, the adjustment increases to -3. These adjustments are not cumulative. If more than one such character is present, instead use the highest of the adjustments. Claims. The first thing a character should do in Thule to become a ruler is to claim land. That is publicly state that this or that part of in your campaign explored part of Thule is his to own and hold in perpetuity. For support from the Gerhard the Great and Narvik City, this claim can be registered for a fee. All right. Through either the Explorers Guild or other factions that you're tied to. So here we start to get where once the characters start to get to that level of being able to stake a claim, they're going to have a certain amount of influence. They're going to have followers in order to do this. And this is not something that they themselves are going to technically do. They can have their representatives going out into the world and doing so. So there's a lot here that really does stand out as really good bones right from the get-go of creating a domain play based campaign. So I'm just going to continue through some other things that stood out to me. So we have influence, which I'll go into greater detail, resources, hex income, revolts against the administrator, additional income from hills and mountains and underground hexes, resource depletion, income from special hexes. Then you have taxes, you have large-scale trade, settlements, settlement size, settlement population and growth and decline, settlement administration, time in your campaign, expert followers, retainers and hirelings, siblings, expert equipment, expert housing, transportation services, vessels, expert magic, experience, combat rules, fortifications, siege equipment and formations, burning buildings and settlements, sieges spells, supply trains, looting a settlement, taking captives, ransom offers, POW recruitment, naval combat, naval pursuit and evasion, ramming, mass combat, the campaign quick turn reference, and then we have a number of different reference sheets and everything in here as well. Terrain manipulation, so if you want to do a lot of terraforming or whatever. Slavery, marriage, proposals, having children, adult children, giving births, half-breeds, which means crosses like half-elves and other crossbreeds. We have seduction, expert adventuring, fast travel, raiders and random encounters, urban encounters, and so on and so forth. There is just so much. There is maritime exploration. There's wind and movement rates, maritime travel, swimming in the sea, factions, policing, armies, guilds, merchant and craft guilds of the 4 main regions, bodyguards, mercenary groups for hire, arcane covens, cults, temples, gardens, and houses, major fearmongers, minor fearmongers, expert humanoid encounters, expert treasure and magic items, expert creatures, animals, humanoids. I'll not go through all of the monsters and such. Then there are various high festivals. There's the laws of the land, settlement names, campaign history, campaign sheet, and so on and so forth. There is a ton of information and rules and sub-rules packed in basically a 95-page book. So very, very intensive as far as the amount of content that you're going to find in this. Very straightforward and pretty easy to follow along. So as I was saying, sorry about that interruption, there's a lot here. And between the 2 books now, so you have now the basic and the expert, there's a whole lot here to actually start launching a full-fledged campaign, and really looking forward to doing so. I just have one other thing to share with you, and this is this. So this is a website. It's a mapmaker.myfarog.org, and you can create your own map here and start off. And this is going to be great for just kind of establishing the baseline for your, I'll move this out of the way, the baseline for your settlements and such, and basic hex crawl. And you can go in here and you can change all of these things with your menu here, and you can erase feature texts or tiles and replace them with others. You can drop in villages or structures and whatnot throughout the place. Very, very easy. And then you just export the map and save it, and then you can save your various maps. So as you know, I would have them start off in either a village or in one of these preset towns, and then they can, you know, march their way out there looking for a place where they can potentially found a small village or seize a small village, and then start clearing the area around in order to start building their own domain. So just a few things like towers tend to be either bards or sorcerers, you know, with their accompanying towns. There's usually a village within a short distance of each. You know, each of these main spaces, sometimes they're a little bit more far-flung. We have here another major town with some seafaring. Same thing here. We have another town with seafaring, and then 2 villages that are fairly close to it. Then in the mountains here, you will see, where is it? Here it is. So this is a cave system. Oh, I just placed that there. It should have been this. So that's caves. That marks a dwarven settlement. And then its supporting town is just 1 hex away. That's kind of how they would control. The 6 hexes around the you know, around their village. And then these large trees here are elven communities, and so or elven kingdoms, and they too control everything up and around their hex system. Let's see, up. See, there's sometimes problems with that. It doesn't yet. You have to come off of this in order to move the map, which is one thing I'm not crazy about. It's a little bit hard to do that, and I just erased the erase that guy. So anyway, yeah, that's the one thing. It's a little bit wonky as far as moving on the hex when maybe just come off of tile textures and not. Nope, it's still doing it. So yeah, that's one thing I have to ask about is how do you move the map without this. This does not seem to work very well. As far as I don't know what this thing is for. I know it zooms, but it doesn't. It's so weird how it actually functions. So that's something I want to ask about. Is like how exactly do you best manipulate on the map, scrolling back and forth, up and down, and whatnot. So anyway, I'll definitely reach out and find out about that. So looks really cool. You know, not a. I mean, the basic system I will go back to and start doing some additional videos on that to keep on explaining out how the basic rule system works. It's been a while since I've talked about it. And so I will get back to, you know, covering this in a little bit greater detail now. And then once I get my players rolling out, I already have one player that definitely wants to play, and he's going to look to get another buddy of his, you know, to join in. So this one, time management wise, is going to be a little bit interesting because these guys are out there in Norway, I believe, if the last time I remember, and you know, or Norway and Germany or whatnot, so totally different time zone. So that'll be interesting as well to work around. But you know, really excited about it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you have a great rest of your weekend. If you are celebrating any of the holidays, enjoy your holiday weekend, and I'll be seeing you around over the next couple of days. I just put a posting in the community post about an interview I'm having with Stephen Chenault from Warlord Games, talking about tariffs and Warlord Games' response to that, how they are going to try to help out the rest of the community, you know, in the hobby by expanding their printing capacity. So I will definitely look forward to seeing you there during that interview. That will be on Wednesday, April 23rd at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. That should run for about an hour. So really looking forward to it. And you know, make sure that you subscribe and hit the alert button so that you'll get that alert. Then it's already linked on the live stream tab, so you can go to the live stream tab on my channel and hit the reminder button there, so that you will get a reminder when that live interview goes live Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. Definitely look into to check that out, because a lot of great news coming out of Warlord Games. You'll have a great rest of your afternoon and weekend. Take care.